When you have an intention for something and you're not like looking at what you have or what you don't have, but you're like, I want to do this, and you are committed to that, resources come out of nowhere. People come to support you. Welcome to the Luxury State of Mind podcast, where we focus on intentionally crafting a life that feels tailor-made for you. On each episode, you'll learn how to create luxury in your everyday life and celebrate the uniqueness that is you. I'm your host, Dammy Oshodi, and I'm excited to help you develop a luxury state of mind. All right, so welcome back to the Luxury State of Mind podcast. I am your host, Dammy Oshodi, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I am doing something that I have been wanting to do for literally so long. I am recording an episode outside. I don't know if you can hear it, but I am near this little creek. So if you hear sounds in the background, just enjoy the experience, because this was the goal for, or one of the major goals for my podcast, was to create an immersive experience. So not only are you able to listen or to watch, but you're able to experience the environment that I'm in. Because I would say for me, being able to go to different places, experience new places and things is actually a form of luxury. So I am super excited to be able to do this today. This is the first time I'm doing it. And yeah, I don't know. This is cool. It's really cool. So we're just enjoying. I'm at a park right now and I'm sitting near the water, just capturing the sounds. And it's just super exciting to be able to do this. So on today's episode, it's not really, to be honest, fully like structured or planned or whatnot, but I really just wanted to catch up. I wanted to share what has been going on, especially since it's now Q2. You know, at the time I'm recording this episode, it's going to be beginning of April. So we are officially in Q2. So I wanted to just give you a preview, or not a preview, but a synopsis of what happened in Q1 and just the different things that I did, and more just sharing this so you can, get to know me a little bit more. And then also at the same time, let it be some kind of encouragement for you on whatever it is that you are doing. Because one of the things that I said for this year is that that the beginning of Q1, what am I talking about? Okay. One of the things that I said this year was that the end of the year will not look the same as last year. And I was very, very, very serious about that. I am on a mission to make sure that life really moves forward, and that by the end of the year, I can say like, oh my gosh, thank God that this happened. Like this and this was able to happen this year, and it's only by the grace of God. So that's why, I've been pushing a lot of the time management things. And I know that you've probably seen, if you listen to the podcast or watch the YouTube videos, that I did create a workbook called Time on Your Terms. And basically that workbook is to help you be able to strategize how you spend your time, so you feel like you're getting more value out of your everyday, especially if you do work a 9 to 5 or 9 to 8 or whatever it is that you may be working, and you still want to feel like life is fulfilling, because it can get really easy to just get in the rhythm of you get up, you go to work, maybe you do something here and there after work, you go to sleep and you do it again. And then by the time you notice, time has passed you by, and what actually matters to you, whether that be spending time with your kids or your loved ones, or building that business, creating that YouTube channel, becoming that speaker, starting that podcast, learning a new skill, a new language, whatever it is for you can be put on the back burner. and your creativity, your thing that just makes you light up, you don't actually end up doing it. So I'm here to encourage you and share with you the tools and the process that I've used and I continue to use that helps me be able to do so many things. Like I work, I do speaking. We'll talk more about that in this review. I create this podcast as well. I have hobbies. Some of them I've had to put on hold. Ooh! But it's because I know I'm doing other things. And then I eat well to the best of my ability. I exercise, so many things, right? But ultimately, how are you able to create more time and use the time that you do have effectively so that by the end of the year, you can be like, oh my gosh, literally amazing things happen this year. And it doesn't feel like another year is repeating again. So that is a major reason as to why I created this workbook, just to encourage that process of making sure that year end of 2025 looks completely different than how it started. And actually one of my goals this year was to start this immersive style of podcasting. This has been on my bucket list for actually a really long time. And it wasn't until I found some YouTube videos on how to go about it that I was able to figure out, what to get and all that. And there's still more, at this point right now, I'm just doing the audio, but we are going to continue doing a video podcast. I'm still figuring the logistics, but that's okay. I said to myself that, we have not been able to figure that part out right now, but we're going to continue moving forward because this is something that you want to do, and let's not let perfection stop us from moving forward. Right, Dammy? So that's why I'm doing this like this right now. Okay. So let's look over Q1, that's January, February, March. I've got to say overall that this first quarter of the year has to have been one of the most, if not the most productive times of my life. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm serious. January, February, March was so productive for me. And I'm going to break down what happened. We can go over the months and all that. I will say that one of the things I feel like that allowed me to do the different things that I'm going to share is that I was very clear on my vision. I was very, very clear on what it is that I want to see. Sorry if you hear some things. I think that's like a bird chirping. I'm actually curious how this is going to sound in post. But yeah, it was one of the most productive times of my life, and I think it's because I had vision. I knew exactly what it is that I wanted to do. Now, that does not mean I knew how, but when we talk about on luxury state of mind is identity, intentionality, freedom of choice. The first part is that identity. That's how you live in luxury. That's the groundwork. That's the foundation. And knowing your identity deals with having a vision for what it is that you want. I think in 2024, I accepted that there are certain things that I want to do and who I believe I'm called to be. I finally just accepted it. And one of those things is speaking, right? So I've been posting a lot about, the speaking engagements. I had the Joe Malone event. I just really wanted to be commit to that dream and just run with it. And all, different things. But really that's been my focus, I would say, from this quarter, is just building that up. And because of that, opportunities and different experiences have opened up to me. So in Q1, in January specifically, I was on the hunt to have an in-person event. And this is something that I had said I wanted to do. I had talked to friends about it. I had been talking about it since, I would say, November of last year, after two friends actually came up with the idea for my first event. So community really supported me and gave me the idea actually for that Galentine's Day event. The way they presented to me looked different than how it came out, but they were the catalyst for this whole thing. So that was in November. And I was telling people before I had any tangible results that this was going to happen, I kept telling people I'm going to host an event by the end of Q1. I'm going to host an event by the end of Q1. And like I said, I had nothing planned. When I came back from Christmas break, I went to like 10 different locations in like 3 days, or like maybe, like 3 days. It was crazy. I was off, so I just used that time to scout for, places. And I'm going to share this with you. Like I said, I didn't have any resources, right? I didn't have any tangible results that this event was going to happen, but I knew I had set a serious intention that this was going to happen. So when a friend helped me to plan the event, I was like, it doesn't have to be a lot of people, like, like 8 to 10 people is fine. And she was like, well, don't you, you want more than that, right? And I'm like, yeah, whatever, but we can just host it in this one place. It's fine. But she was like, I feel like, and also I was nervous because the place we were going to host it originally, that person requires like double the people that I was like okay with having for her to even get out of her studio. So I didn't know how I would bring 20 plus people to an event. I have never hosted an event in Dallas. I'm not from Dallas. My podcast is based in Dallas, but I don't know. You feel me? So I was like, I don't know. She kept saying, Dammy, let's, look for other places. And then I said this thing to her. I said, if you think I'm thinking too small, then let me know. And I said that because, I had saved up a certain amount of money to do this event. And that was all I get. Okay. So like everything had to work with that budget. But she was like, babes, like, let's, just scout. So what ended up happening, it actually, like, if I'm gonna be honest with you, it left me like really stressed. I was really stressed. And I remember waking up the next day and being like, oh Lord, what are we going to do? I low-key thought God was playing me, because I'm like, what I have. Why would you like want me to go bigger knowing that I only have this? And I got this like kind of word of like scout the land, and that was, I knew what that meant. That's like, it resembles like, when the Israelites were asked to go and scout the land of Canaan before they went there. And I was like, okay, cool. You know what? Let me just go. So I started going from one place, right? And it was like an okay place. But then it's like, as I kept stepping out, my faith continued to grow more and more. So by the end of that week, I had gone from like a mid-tier like event space to like one of the top hotels in Dallas. Okay. I went from, I'm okay with just having 8 to 10 people to, man, how big can we do this thing? How big can we make it? Right. So I went on that journey, and just to kind of sum it up, basically what ended up happening was there's this vlog that I put out. It's on the YouTube channel about how I batch recorded episodes. So after that day, mind you, I had been looking for other places. I still couldn't find anything. So 2 weeks of looking for places. The prices are just out of this world. Like, it's just not looking like it's going to make sense. So what I did after that batch record was I went to the mall and, just got a little latte, walked around, just decompress. And then I said, you know what? I have not been to Joe Malone. Let me just go and say hi to the people that I met there, because we kind of lost touch over the break. And then I said, so watch this. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be a weirdo. That's what I said to myself. And that moment, I had a choice. Do I want to like believe that ideology of I'm being weird if I go in here? Or do I just want to like do this? Like, let me just go inside. So I decided to go inside, and thankfully I did, because the moment I went inside, the girl that I'd been speaking to, I had built relationship with, was there, and she immediately saw me. She said, hold on right there. Let me get my manager. She didn't even waste time. And she introduced me to her manager, and her manager said, oh, I heard you have a podcast and you want to do events. What is it that you want to do? So I had the opportunity to share with her, oh, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm doing, all this stuff. And she was like, yeah, just tell me what date you want to do it. It literally happened so fast and so quickly. It almost felt like in that moment, like, is this even real? And like, this can't be real. it almost happened like that. And I could have gone back to my old ways of thinking, like, if it's too easy, then, you know, it's not really for me. Like, everything has to be a struggle. But thankfully, we've grown. We've evolved. And I was like, okay, like I said, let me get back to you on that, because I had actually secured a date with the original person that I wanted to go with. But then I was like, they were like, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Like, they were going to take care of literally everything, babes. All I had to do was bring the people, and, you know, what else did I have to do? Get a photographer and videographer, because for me, I was doing the event to build community with people here in Dallas, right? So if you are here in Dallas, Luxury State of Mind podcast does do events. So join the email list, okay, to figure out when the events are happening, or follow me on social. Sidebar. But I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've already secured a date. What are we going to do? But they were like, we're supplying this, and that. All you got to do is come here. Let me get this videographer, photographer, so I can capture content for my speaking. Because, hello, that's the vision. I'm like, nah, babe. So, like, we have got to be, like, you are a speaker. We've got to get this thing on and popping. And one of the ways you get this on and popping is you need footage of you speaking. So that was a huge push for me as to why I wanted to do this, along with building better community. So, long story short, basically, I worked with them, and they wonderful, wonderful company to work with. And amazing that is the first collab of Luxury State of Mind. I mean, how befitting is that for this podcast, that I was able to partner with a luxury brand? So we were able to plan that out all of January, and it's like resources just came out of nowhere. I found the photographer, videographer, and how I found her, shout out to you, Imani. How I found her was, I actually met her at a networking event like 2 months before that, and it was just a casual thing. And then my friend that like really supported me throughout the whole process was like, Dammy, like, reach out to her, like, see, you know, she can do the event. And she, hands down, has been so supportive. She's actually come to multiple speaking engagements that I've done in this first quarter, and it's been amazing. And it was just there and basically held my hand through it, and amazing. So resources started coming through starting January. And what am I trying to say? One thing that I learned is that when you have an intention for something, and you're not like looking at what you have or what you don't have, but you're like, I want to do this, and you are committed to that, resources come out of nowhere. People come to support you. I mean, I had a friend, Kyra, shout out to you for helping create the ad. Like, I had created a reel. I mean, I got so many comments on it. People loved it, and they were like, did you do it? And I'm like, nope, I did not. My friend was like, oh, I'll help you, and she supported me through it. So when people see that you are committed to what you're doing, out of nowhere, they'll just want to help, and it's so cool. So yes, we planned the event, and mind you, I said I wanted to have this event by like March 31st, which is only at this point like 4 days ago. I ended up having that event on February 12th with so much more speed than I thought I could do, right? So it exceeded what I thought was capable. And, you know, I was worried about just, 8 to 10 people coming, and that's all I can get. Girl, over 60 people registered for that event. And that event was so packed that people, and it's so funny, like, I didn't notice it, but like, the Joe Malone team and then people who attended were like, yeah, we were packing ourselves like sardines in the store just trying to hear you speak. People came from outside and were like, what is going on here? I gotta know. And they came in and heard me talk. I mean, it was just such a great experience. I don't have any other words for it. It was amazing. It was amazing. Every detail was handled. When I didn't know what to do, solutions would come. It was a very interesting time, and I had to lean on the Lord. I have to say this, because I would ask for help on certain things. Like, so many things was like going awry, and I needed a solution to keep things moving forward. And as long as I was open to a solution, like, Lord, what do you think? How do I do this? Solutions would come. They would just come, whether it was in the form of people or an idea. like they would just show up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, when you step out on faith, something happens for real. So that event happened much faster than I expected at a caliber, usually like past what I thought would be that event. Like I didn't even, all that money I had saved, like I didn't even have to use it on the things that I thought I'd have to use it for. I had to use it on different stuff, like, make sure I got the video and all that stuff. So that was really amazing there. And then something else, or do I want to end it there? I think so. Yeah, the event was amazing. First event of the year. If you, again, are interested in connecting with the podcast and the events that we do, I encourage you to follow me on social media. Lux State of Mind Show on Instagram. But honestly, follow me on the newsletter, because I'm saying this because I'm trying to put you on game. By the time this airs, it would have been made known to my email list that I'm actually having a makeup masterclass with Mac. Yes, it's going to be an exclusive event. Only up to 8 people can be in the room. It's going to be real exclusive. We are going to talk about how to establish your signature brand, or what does that look like for you? How do you want to show up as yourself, and how can your makeup basically reflect that? So we're going to have a pro makeup artist teach us how to beat our face for reals, okay? And with amazing products, and it's exclusive for the Luxury State of Mind community. So if you are interested in that, you can get that ticket in the description of this episode. I would hop on it because, like I said, it's only up to 8 people. So after that, it's done, baby. It's done. So definitely get your ticket. So that event opened up doors for me to do something like that. So another thing that happened, so we're still on January, so stay with me. I decided to do something different. I went to a leadership conference in California. I wouldn't even say a conference. It was a personal mastery training. It was basically a 2.5-day training where we learned how to master ourselves and therefore learn how to lead well. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead other people. And when I tell you, and I hope y'all can't hear me hitting like my leg because I'm talking with passion. When I tell you that experience changed my life, I'm not even like trying to be funny. That was one of the best investments I have ever invested in my life. I learned that how I became successful at that Joe Malone event is based off of the things they actually taught us. And mind you, that Joe Malone thing happened before, but they gave a framework to understand how to have success in everything that you want. Intention plus mechanism or non-mechanism equals results. If the intention is strong, if you're like, I'm going to do this, it doesn't matter the how. That was actually one of the most freeing things that I received from that whole thing. Because I'm a how person. How. But then I learned it don't matter the how. As long as you are like, I am going to this place. I am going to do this. That is all that matters. The how will come. And that's exactly what I saw with the event. So I went to this in California, and I learned it's like all over the country. But my mom actually went in California, so I went because she went in California. But I met the most amazing people. I walked out of there feeling more love for myself and for others. That was one of the biggest things I felt. I just loved other people more. Another cool thing was I was able to learn strategies on how to take narratives that weighed me down for so long, stories that I had told myself about myself and my experiences for so freaking long, and was able to tell myself a new story. Because people tell you like, oh, you need to tell you a new story, but sometimes you don't have the knowing of how. A lot of the training was experiential learning, so that was like you made memories, and that's what helped you to learn. You had experiences that helped you learn and basically like change your mind. And because of going to that training, I've seen the results. I have seen the results in my life. I thought I was only going to do one like speaking engagement in Q1. Babes, I've done 4. From somebody who didn't do any like last year, the year before, I did 4 speaking engagements. I have another partnership with a huge brand. And what else can I say? I'm connecting with people deeply and learning. So if you don't know, clearly I love Clemmer. And I actually am going to have my personal mastery or my PM facilitator on the podcast. And she's going to talk all about it. So don't even worry about it. You like, girl, what is that? We going to talk about it. We're going to talk about that thing. Okay. I'm going to let you know. Because one thing about me is you are not going to be on my team and not know what is good out here. I am a seeker of wisdom. Okay? I'm somebody who loves good, wholesome wisdom. I feel like I'm preaching. But seriously, you gonna know about it. Don't worry about it. And if you love yourself the way you say you do, you're gonna go. Because I might even host one here in Dallas. So you're gonna go. Okay, next. So January was amazing. I applied for a scholarship actually for the following event, leadership event. Got that in a day, babes. In a day. They were like, we've actually never had anybody apply for this scholarship so fast. I'm like, congratulations. I just had to call you personally. Like, you got it. And I said, because I set the intention. I said, I am going to advanced leadership. I went to PM. I am going to advanced leadership. It was not a question. We're going to get there. I don't even think I have enough time to talk about that. I don't even have enough time to talk about advanced leadership. That's March. Let me wrap up January. January, I soared faster than I ever have in my life. And I think it's because I had a vision and I was very focused. And it was cold outside, so I was not trying to be outside, just kicking it. I was very focused. Okay, so February came, Joe Malone event, happened. Not only did the Joe Malone event happen, I got another opportunity to speak. But let me tell you the gag of this one. Let me tell you what really went down. So I was asked to speak at a nonprofit with, oh my gosh, the most adorable young women, Black women. They were so cute. What was crazy about this was I got this opportunity literally like the same week as my event. She's like, oh, I'm going to have this event for the girls. Like, can you come on the 15th? I said, excuse me? She said, yeah. Can you come to the 15th? And I was like, oh, let me get back to you. That's my favorite answer. I love saying that. When I don't know what to say, I'll be like, let me get back to you. Because I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? And not only did they want me to do one, they wanted me to do 2 workshops. 2 workshops. That's crazy. Oh, there's a little duck. I hope it comes over. Maybe it'll talk to you guys. But yeah, there was this, all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, I know. But I remember my training, my Clemmer training, my personal mastery training. And I said, girl, you have been praying for this. God will see you through. Just say yes. And I told her, sure, I'll do it. And lo and behold, again, this is the same week as my Joe Malone event. I mean, everything was handled. God saw me through that whole thing. Ideas, everything. As long as I asked and relied that it would come, even if it didn't come in like immediately when I prayed about it, but I said, I believe God will do it. Like the answers came, strategy on how to move, how to go about this, how to go about that. It all came. So that was amazing. So I count that as 3 because I did 2 workshops, 45-minute workshops in one day to 2 different audiences. So hello. It was amazing. So February, we were still moving strong. So I don't want this episode to be too long. Let me just move on. And then we get to March. So March just passed and I was determined. I want to say this. Again, intention, basically minus mechanism equals results. I did not know if I would be able to take off for that training because it would be a week long. But I just asked. I just was bold enough to ask. So I went, like, there was a second training. Like, there's 4 levels to doing the Clemmer leadership training. And I was like, I'm going to do number 2. And I just was bold enough to ask. And, my job let me take off. And I was like, yeah, pee. So I did take off in March for a week. And I was able to go to the second part of advanced leadership, which is called advanced leadership training. And it was amazing. I thought I learned something in PM, which I did. But man, the tools I learned there, crazy. One of the major tools that I learned was living a quality-driven life. So how do you get from point A to point B in your life? How do you get from where you are to where you want to be? A major key that I learned is living a quality-driven life. So what does it mean to live a quality-driven life? This is how I came to understand it from what I was taught at that training. It means to assume the qualities in which you want to embrace more of so you can get from where you are to where you want to be. So for example, one of the things they would ask is like, what's risky for you? And that could be, I'll speak for myself, that could be like maybe vulnerability, or sometimes trusting myself, trusting that I'm able to make decisions well. That could look like in moments where I want to shy away from something, being courageous. So a lot of things that they would ask during the training is, what quality do you want to step into? And for me, I chose, and I have actually them right in front of me, boldness, vulnerability, trust, and then I also have courage as well. So it would look like, okay, if usually in these moments I, would just kind of maybe run away from something, it's making a commitment and saying to myself, I am a bold, trusting, vulnerable, and courageous woman. And basically assuming that as my identity in that moment. So whatever I need to do, just stepping into that. So I've had lots of opportunities to practice this. A lot of the things I learned is that, in every moment you have a choice to make, or you have the opportunity to make choices. So you can choose how you want to navigate life. And that was actually really freeing, because I used to think that making choices, or the ability to make choices, especially if the choices that you made in the past weren't the best, it feels like you're at a negative, right? Like it makes you feel like, well, let me not say it made me feel like feeling almost like sad, like frustrated or sad or whatever with the choices that I made in the past. But the way they teach it and the way you like experience a training, it makes you feel like more empowered to be able to make choices. So I just felt empowered to be able to be like, you know what, like in this moment, whatever happened in the past is whatever, but I'm committed to I'm stepping into being a bold woman. Like I'm Dammy and I'm committed to being a courageous woman. So I've had different opportunities to experience that and to practice that and just be more aware of what I'm doing, how I'm living, and creating the results that I want, whether big or small. And I'll say the wins, because now coming back from that training, it's like I can feel like I win a lot more. Anything can look like a win or be perceived as a win, depending on how I choose to look at it. So, I mean, there's a lot of good things there, but I don't want to talk too much about it, you know what I mean? Because this episode is getting quite long. So March was great for those things. So I guess we'll just move into what I want Q2 to look like, and I'll just be very brief. One of the things moving forward one of the things that I noticed from Q1 was this like feeling of, man, like I'm so focused, and I feel like this focus that I have is helping me to get better results. And I feel like I'm missing out a bit on like connection with other people. So navigating that has been interesting. It's been a different type of challenge, because it's like, man, because I'm so focused, I'm doing all this cool stuff. And at the same time, I want to be outside here and there, or at least try to be intentional about those relationships, and just knowing like I can't be everywhere, and I really shouldn't, because this is important to me. Like what I'm building is important to me. So just being able to navigate that. So for Q2, like that's one of the things that I'm like committing to, is just having more experiences with people and opportunities to spend time with them, and in a way fitting it into what I'm already doing. So that can look like going to co-working spaces or cafes with friends and doing the work I would typically do alone with people, or carving out time for new things, Like, one of the people that I know wants to take a walk before work, and I love walking, and we love going to the same trail. So that's something that we can try and see how that works out. And then another thing I'm looking forward to and just trying to learn to, I will say, change up and improve is like the workflow that I have, even for the podcast and all the things that I have going on, making sure like I'm not feeling overly stretched. And I don't even know, like, honestly, if that's a thing, because it's like we're still in the like testing phase. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out a workflow. Like, what would this look like moving forward that makes sure that I'm meeting the goals that I have, because I want to start getting some really good speaking engagements, some paid opportunities in this Q2. And also, with the workbook as well, like seeing that flourish. So it's like, how can I do that and maintain a good workflow system so I'm not overly burnt out and all these different things, which I wasn't, but just working on how I'm working. So that's something that I want to focus on. So I would say continuing to build intentional time with people. So having more fun and having a good workflow that is able to hold all the things that I need to do that help keep pushing Luxury State of Mind forward so that I can see the results that I want. So those are 2 things. There may be more, but I think we're going to just let this end here. So I'm curious for you, and I would love for you to let me know on YouTube or on Instagram, wherever you're listening. Let me know what was successful for you in Q1, and then what are you going to be doing in Q2 to make it your best quarter? Because Q1 was in the past, child. So we are moving forward, and what can we do to do that? What do you want more of in your life in the next upcoming 3 months? So it was such a joy speaking with you and doing this new experience. If you enjoyed this podcast, let me know in the comments section. This podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. And for some reason, people do not know this, maybe because I don't talk about it. Luxury State of Mind is on Instagram and TikTok. I'm not going to hold you. I actually post a lot on LinkedIn, but I am on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow me there. It will be in the description. Okay. Appreciate you. Love you. And I'll speak to you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please share with a friend and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also view the full episode on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you on the next episode.